What are your early memories of a young Ric Flair? You touched briefly on.
My early memories of Rick. Rick was a student of Vern Gagne's. He went to the camp. He did very well. Vern Gagne's normal arrangement is he takes 10% of their income for the rest of their lives. I'm sure there's a cutoff somewhere you can make it look.
Right.
But Ric Flair gave him the Italian salute and went down and started after a couple of matches. I covered his very first match in the AWA. Then he went down to Carolina, kind of moved around a little bit, and got his own niche. And wow, I don't think he could have developed that persona if he would have been working for Vern Gagne, because Gagne would put a lid on him. And Flair is a wild man. As a matter of fact, he still is a wild man.
Right.
And a good friend, by the way.
Memories of working with Nick Bockwinkel.
I love Nick. Nick was one of a kind, second generation wrestler. Born and raised in St. Louis, spent a lot of time in Southern California. Nick was a good technical wrestler. He did a lot of high flying things, but he could also do the Steve Regal and Billy Robinson kind of moves. I liked him a lot. And as it turns out, here's a guy that made his mark in professional wrestling, had his little slot, and made a living at it, and a good living.
I guess at what point did you realize, looking back now, would you say, all right, I'm good at this? I made it.
I'm kind of, I've got a little bit of an inferiority complex in that when I sat around, I guess I didn't have the confidence in myself, because 90% of the time I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So as things turned out, I really didn't realize that I was doing a good job until I made the move to New York, worked with Vince McMahon, and the production values that he set up for himself, and working with the television people. I mean, it was a very important thing to him, and we had to do it in a professional way, and I could pull it off, even though sometimes you had to, you're going by the seat of your pants on a lot of this stuff. You had to kind of wing it, but it all worked out, and I said, well, maybe I should do this for a living, and went in and negotiated a contract with Dick Glover about 2 or 3 days later, with the blessings of Vince McMahon.
Memories of working with Ray Stevens and Harley Race.
Well, I never worked with the two of them together. I really did not. Actually, I just missed Harley in the AWA. Harley was a Kansas City guy, and he was a tag team partner with Larry the Axe Hennig, or at that time, Pretty Boy Larry Hennig. And that was just right before, he was in the late 60s, and then he went back to Kansas City and the NWA as part of the ownership group down there. Harley also had a piece of St. Louis. Ray Stevens, well, boys, Ray Stevens is another story.
Okay.
There's a guy that I absolutely enjoyed. Ray Stevens said he found out that he liked me when we went pheasant hunting, and I had a brand new Cadillac, and I drove it down a cornfield. He says, "You're something. That's incredible." He says, "You might want to get yourself a pickup for hunting. These Cadillacs aren't too good." But I so admired Ray Stevens and his talent. Thought he was great on the mic too. Golfer, Ray was not a golfer. A couple of those guys were not golfers. Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson, though, I thought were one of the premier tag teams of all time. And we've lost Ray. Ray's gone, but he certainly made his mark. I don't think he saved the nickel. Unlike Pat Patterson, who's probably saved all of his nickels.
All right. Memories of Larry Hennig.
Oh, I was very close with the Axe. I liked Larry. He was a resident of the Twin Cities, so occasionally, socially during the week, we'd run out. We went to one little gin mill. It was a saloon where they had dancing and smoky bar, you know how it goes. I expected Richard Gere to walk through the front door. Not really. But Larry was a big man. He had to weigh 300 pounds at least, if not more. And there was a little guy that came over to him and kept tapping him in the chest, doing this. And he says, you wrestlers, you're all tough guys, right? Larry had on cowboy boots because he wasn't that tall, maybe about 6'1 or 6'2. You put the 2-inch cowboy boots on, and all of a sudden, he's 6'4 or 5. But this guy kept on him. He says, don't screw with me. Didn't say it that nicely. Don't screw with me, or you're going to be out of here.
Right.
And the guy came back after a couple more cocktails and started working him over again. Larry just lifted up his leg and went right on the top of the arch of his foot. The guy went down and he says, better get somebody here. I think this man is sick. He just fell down here. I think he's throwing up. You better get him out of here. So he handled things in his own way.
Right. I guess you seem to be more relaxed than most wrestling announcers. Did veterans ever take that as a sign of disrespect, or that you weren't taking the business seriously, or? Like, did anyone ever approach you about something you might have said about them on commentary?
Never. I'd been told by, you know, there's a time for levity, and there's a time where you got to be dead serious. I think another Minneapolis guy by the name of Gordon Soley did it so well. He could have fun with the product, but he did such a good job of selling the angles, and he did it with credibility, I think, because he was serious 90% of the time. What would you say, guys? 50-50? Little levity here and there?
Right.
Yeah. But when it came time to do business, and you had to be serious, I think I worked that pretty good too.